Jai Guru, pranams to Pujya Swami Bhumananda Tirtha Ji, pranams to Swami Nirvisheshananda Tirtha Ji, pranams to Ma Guru Priya Ji. I am Sneha and I welcome all of you to yet another interesting episode of our podcast. And in this episode, we have something very exciting for all of you. But before we get there, I want to ask you all this question. As human beings, isn't it natural for all of us to conduct inquiry into the ultimate truth? Aren't we constantly looking for answers to our questions that revolve around ourselves and the mysteries of the universe? Some curious minds have gone into the world of objects looking for answers to their questions. This has, of course, led to remarkable discoveries in the field of science. Few other minds who were not merely satisfied with the results from the world of objects decided to go within. This has naturally led to the path of spirituality. And in this path, there was no further inquiry thereafter. In fact, our rishis and sages, they have come up with some incredible revelations and observations that are presented before us in the form of Vedas, the Shastras, the Upanishads. So in a world where science and spirituality appear to be in conflict with each other, we present to you Harmonizing Science and Spirituality in the quest for the ultimate truth. And for that, we have none other than Swami Nirvisheshananda Tirtha Ji, fondly known as Nutan Swamiji. Pranams, Nutan Swamiji. Nutan Swamiji is a PhD holder in physics, and he has renounced his professional life from IIT Kharagpur in the year 1987, and ever since then, he has dedicated himself completely in the service of Pujya Swami Bhumananda Tirtha Ji and his mission of Loka Sangraha. Pranams, Nutan Swamiji. We are incredibly grateful for having you here, and we are really blessed indeed. And we are looking forward to this conversation wherein science and spirituality can actually complement each other. So Swamiji, my first question would be, coming from a physics background, what is it that inspired you to take up spirituality?
Sneha, the first thing that coming from the background of science or physics, it is the other way around. I was spiritual right from birth, perhaps. As far back my memory goes, at least say at the age of 4 or 5, I have been inquiring about where from this universe has come, what is the world, etc. So I was born with the inquiry. You cannot say it is physics or spirituality at that time, but about the absolute truth, that what is the ultimate truth. So I was born with that. And because of that inquiry, I had taken physics as a subject, and parallelly spiritual studies also started very early, at the age of maybe at 8, 9 or so, or even before that. So I was inquiring in my own way, and in the process when physics I was exposed to physics, I found that is how we can. It was automatically I was taken to physics right from class 5 or 6 when the first I knew about physics. And it was never a change that with the physics background, I had taken to spirituality, or I finally took to the spiritual life. But they were initially they were all both were parallelly moving, molding my inquiry to further maturity. And when I found that the science cannot answer the ultimate quest, particularly at that time, going deep into it, I found certain grave missing points over there. Naturally, the spiritual inquiry became deeper. Not only that, the spiritual inquiry has the personal aspect there, that we want an emotional fulfillment also. We want to become pure without any agitation, without any affectation. So that part was already taking over the other inquiries. So I would say that in my life, always spiritual quest and the inquiry into the scientific natural sciences, they have played a complementary role. And finally, naturally it had taken me to the wholesome pursuit of spirituality, because it is not a part pursuit, it is a wholesome pursuit for our whole life. So that made me renounce my professional life or family life and take to this complete wholesome inquiry. Does it answer your question?
Yes, Swamiji. So what we would like to understand a little bit more would be in terms of what is the main difference between science and spirituality. Do you see a future wherein the two would converge, or do you think they would complement each other?
See, the fundamental difference is that any science, not only physics, any science, the whole natural sciences studies, they are always inquiring only into the objective field, into the entire objectitude. That is, they never inquire into the subject, who am I? So, the inquiry is limited in the objective field. It can always be complementary in the process, that both are extremely rational in the initial stage, and moreover, as I always say, that people say Upanishads are a philosophy. I can never say it's a philosophy. It's not a philosophy. I say that the Upanishads are the record of the experimental research into our own subject done by the rishis of our country. You can call it experimental or experiential, because in the subjective field, whatever experiment we do, it has to be experiential. You should mark my word, it's very important that in the objective experiment, we do the experiment with some object in front, or the whole world in front, or some concept in front. That is also object to us, the concept of some theory or so. In this case, the whole experimentation is done with who am I, and exploring, going deeper and deeper about my own real identity. So, where will that knowledge be? The experiment itself will be experiential. The knowledge will be belonging to the person who is doing the experiment. So, in the subjective inquiry, the experiential and experimental, they mean the same in a way. It is all experiential. And whatever our rishis did, what they did, initially they looked into the world and they were inquiring about the world. And perhaps that is why various devas came. Deva, actually it is coming from Dip Dhatu, which means the original brilliance. So whatever they could not explain in nature, we can understand that I am pushing the mic, it will move. So the cause and effect relationship is, from birth itself, everything in the world is related by cause and effect relationship. That is why we are looking for what is the cause of the universe. Otherwise we would not have looked into. So they found out the logical flaw that although everything is cause and effect related, going to the absolute, it cannot have the cause and effect relationship. We cannot call the absolute cause as a cause. This I can detail later on, I can explain properly. So what happened is that actually whatever natural powers they found, which they could not explain, they posited a personality, a personal power against that. For example, the wind power, the cloud power, or the sky, the space, like that, the sun, the moon, everything was regarded as original power. But later on, when they inquired, they found that going into the outside world, we cannot reach anywhere which we can call the absolutes. So they, first of all, they started looking within, because the question was, who am I who is looking at this universe? Let me first understand that, then only we will understand what is it. So when they looked within, the whole picture changed. Because who am I? When we look within, we find that normally I think I am the body, mind, personality. But when we analyze properly, when we reason out properly, we find that the body is what I am knowing. The body has been undergoing change right from birth onward. But the I, which has not gone under any change, otherwise we would not have known the change of the body. Anything to know a change taking place, we have to have a non-changing background, and that is what the I is. Then our mind, which is always changeful, every moment it is changing, we know. So can I say I am the mind, I am the knower of the mind, I am the seer of the mind. So the mind also is a subtle object before me, the I. Buddhi also, emotions also, everything they found, it is all an object before the I. Then what is that I? How to look at the I? That was their real quest. And I think very soon they discovered that they cannot reach anywhere. This is what I am deducing from what I have known. It might have happened, might not happen in this manner. It can happen in any manner. That when we are trying to find out who am I, our natural tendency of discovering anything as different from me, from the I, takes over there also. We want to see who am I as something I am looking at it. May not be gross, but it is a subtle something. So most of the sadhaks, even now, you will find that this is the greatest hurdle they have, that in looking into the self or discovering their Atma also, they want something to be seen or discovered as different from himself. Do you understand the point? It's very interesting, because there all of us fail. So they've discovered that we cannot find anything, that effort to know the self or to know who am I itself is self-defeating. It is creating a difference and making the subject, objectivizing the subject, that I am looking at the self as if it is an object. That cannot be successful then. So basically what takes us at that point is to a surrender, that I have to be effortless. And they are now, definitely the Shastras also help, but in the beginning it must be their own inquiry which led them to this thinking. They surrendered even the self-effort to find out what it is. May it reveal to ourselves. We will find many prayers like that. May the self reveal to us. That is how it has come. May the self reveal to us means what? We are actually surrendering to the self. Unless the self reveals itself. There are many shlokas on this. That the Atma reveals itself. Who embraces the Atma as the ultimate, as the supreme, the Atma reveals its truth. In Kathopanishad, in Mundakopanishad, these shlokas are there. So, then they got the final revelation or the discovery. So all these, they are actually an experiment, no doubt about it, but experimentation with our own self. So when it is discovered, it is an experience of the experimenter. It cannot be a result which you record about the object, about the atom, about the molecule, or about anything. It cannot be like that. So here each life is an experiment. Anybody who wants to verify this, it's wrong to say that if it is verifiable, then you can verify everywhere. No. The verification lies with each sadhak, each practitioner, each inquirer. So in his life, when he verifies, then he becomes that his life undergoes a great change with this discovery, because the discovery is also strange, that I am the whole universe, I am the Brahman. So naturally it takes away all our troubles which are resulting from the small identity, the small egoistic identity we are. So it's a great, I call it the greatest discovery of a human civilization. There cannot be anything greater than this. Because not only it solves our inquiry, it sorts out all the problems of the individual as well as the society. Because all our selfish tendencies, constricted tendencies, they are coming from the smallness of identity. So when we realize that I am embracing the whole world, then it changes the whole outlook to life. And because the society is an assembly of such individuals, the more people take to this, the whole society will be different, as our society was. It lived from prehistoric times. We don't know how many thousands of years it has been living. It was only because of this great discovery of our so-called subjective scientists, or our rishis, you can say.
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for that step-by-step clarification, and also for drawing the subtle difference between science and spirituality, and also for pointing out the fact that not just our body, but even the mind, the intelligence is also a part of that objective world. So when you quoted that experience of the experimenter, so that was a very interesting revelation and a thought. So Swamiji, do you think there are experiments in the field of science that can draw parallel with that of spirituality? Could you think of any such experiments that our scientists have done and which could get us close to spirituality?
We cannot say parallel, because as I always say, that the fundamental postulate of science, natural science, is we are looking at the objective world through our senses. We can investigate and go deeper into it, whatever our senses cannot perceive also, we can infer. All the atoms, molecules, nobody has ever seen, nobody has known, elementary particles, electron, proton, now further going down, probability waves and all, nothing, anything, it's not our direct perception. It's all inference from whatever we are perceiving by our senses. But in all that, they have terminated, they have kept away the subject. Because the fundamental postulate of physics is that we will look at the world thinking that to be the true, and then we are inquiring into the world. But if you confuse the subject, which is a part of the world, because to our scientists, I am also part of the world, because we are thinking of the I, which is the body-mind limited personal identity. I can clarify it further, that what we call the Atma is not body-mind limited I. It is the reflection of, if we say reflection, or the, well, reflection can be a term, of the universal consciousness, which is expressing through our understanding or buddhi or our personality. That is the Brahman, as it is expressed through the association of the body-mind complex, that we consider to be I, and our scientific community considered that as our consciousness, as a small. So naturally that was kept away when we inquired into the world. Whereas, as I just now said, that the rishis, they found that we cannot find out the truth outside, so they started looking within to discover the subject. And the whole discovery lay in discovering the subject. And how is that subject? The whole so-called objectitude is appearing in the subject. It is not a subject different from the object. Initially the subject looking at the object, the two are different. But in our ultimate discovery, the object and subject, they get fused. That is why it is called Advaita, non-dual. It's not monistic, it's non-dual. Means the duality is gone. The entire universe, which includes my body-mind personality also. Be very careful there. Our body-mind personality is a product of nature. So it is part of nature. The whole universe, of which my body-mind personality is also a small speck, that is appearing in this consciousness. In that case, can we call this consciousness in the body, or the body is in the consciousness? Body means the personality. The whole personality is just appearing in the consciousness. So what we do in spirituality is shifting our identity from this body-mind limited egoistic personality to consciousness or the I, to the universal. It is not even universal, it is transcendental, truly speaking. Into that consciousness in which the whole universe, which consists of my body-mind personality as a small speck, also is appearing, because the whole thing is written in the consciousness. So this is what the spiritual discovery is. So you can say that when science is coming closer and closer to this, means science is losing its grossness in its own ideas and concepts. Suppose during Newtonian mechanics, the earlier, we were considering everything, suppose we have a ball, a solid ball. Our concept of molecules and all were like the balls, or say atoms, they were like the balls. That means the gross idea of an object was still valid. We tried to extrapolate it to the fundamental level, that it will have a fixed position, it will have some motional momentum. These are have a mass, a particular mass. So the grossness, I would say, the grossness of the particle of the object, they were there very much in the concept. When we are conceiving of the elementary particles, the fundamental building blocks of matter also. So when the quantum mechanics or quantum field, the quantum concepts came, that was gone. We understood that they are no more, the grossness is no more valid. The position can be anywhere, the momentum can be anything, they are all some sort of bizarre, we can say initially it was sort of waves or so, but finally in quantum mechanics it becomes probability waves, that the probability of a particle appearing here and there. I always tell people that suppose you are all sitting here, you have a certain look, something, you think that this is what I am. But even by science also, if you develop a microscopic vision, suppose, microscopic, electron microscopic vision, then the whole assembly will become a bizarre mix of all kinds of probability waves and, or say maximum electron protons, if you say, which nobody would like to be. So the sciences has destroyed, even in by 1900 and 1905 or so, during the quantum mechanics or quantum theory coming in, the whole gross concept changed. So the people given to Newtonian concept, they were finding it very difficult to understand. On one hand quantum mechanics, on the other hand the relativistic theories of Einstein. So the two together, they completely rooted out our gross idea of the ultimate state of the world also. So what does it mean? That we, in spirituality, we are knowing experientially that it is all consciousness. And when knowing, it is not that I am the body-mind limited person sitting here and I am seeing all his consciousness. That can never happen. Because that consciousness is universal, it is transcendental, in which the whole universe, including my body-mind personality, is appearing to be. So that expansion is very important. But as far as science is concerned, it is coming closer and closer in the way that the abstraction is taking over. People were very much attached, very much glued, clinging to the gross idea of our world. Even now also normal people, even if you say that this is the scientific discovery, nobody will be able to get away from their gross holding on to body and all these things, whatever we hold on to. But in spirituality, because the pursuit is not only an objective pursuit, but a subjective pursuit of changing our own identity. So unless everything you know, it becomes applicable to your own idea, your own life, it is not accepted. So there, every discovery, as we go deeper down, our whole personality undergoes a change, our concepts undergo a change. Our idea, the vision actually, the world vision undergoes a change. The world remains same, but the world vision, in Sanskrit we call it ikshana, the buddhi, the vision of the buddhi undergoes a complete paradigm shift or a complete inversion, I would say. In Bhagavad Gita, as it said, Nisha Sarva Bhutanam, that whatever is night to the ordinary people, it becomes day, and whatever is day to the ordinary people, it becomes night. That kind of a transformation in the whole vision takes place. So another point is that as during this quantum physics period, what happened is that earlier we used to think that I am observing the experiments and the objects, and we are concluding about them. What happened in electron diffraction experiment, there is one experiment very famous there. There they found that whatever we want to see, whatever we are attempting to see, that affects the whatever we see also. Suppose we want to detect that are they particles, it's a electrons passing through two holes. So if they are particle, they must pass through either hole A or hole B. You cannot pass through both. So if they are passing either through hole A or through hole B, the picture we are getting at the end, that distribution pattern, it will have a certain form. Whereas if it is wave which passes through both, like the sound waves and all, it passes through both, then the pattern on the screen will be different. That is wave, whether they are wave or particle was the question at that time. So to determine that, when they did the experiment, they found that to determine that they are particle passing through A or B, whatever experiment they do, they make them particle. It appears the distribution pattern resembles to particle form. Whereas if they don't do the experiment, they get the wave pattern there. That resembles the distribution pattern, resembles the wave. So two things, they were confused that it's a particle wave or it's a mixture, it is neither wave nor particle, it is different. And it depends on finally on the probability distribution, and all those were the conclusions taken. But the fact is that one other, apart from the grossness vanishing, slowly evaporating completely, the other part was that the subject and the object getting mixed up, that it depends on what we are trying to see. If you want to locate the particle at a certain position, you want the position, then its motional state, that is momentum and all, it becomes absolutely infinitely uncertain. It is called uncertainty principle of Heisenberg. So similarly, if you want to pinpoint the motional dynamic position, dynamic pattern of the particle, then the position becomes, it can be anywhere in the universe. So these were all bizarre concepts those days. And now it has become all the more that this spring theory and all, I have not gone into all those things, but they make it more and more abstract. But the fact which I want to point out is that in all these investigations, scientific investigations, they are all considering the world to be an object and I am the subject looking at the world. There comes a fundamental difference where the two do not meet. In spirituality, right from the beginning, we looked into the subject. And finally, when we discovered the subject, we found that the whole universe is appearing in the subject, that the subject is the whole. And there, it is all the whole universe as if written in that consciousness. So the approach is initially subjective, then dissolving the objects into the subject, and transcending the whole thing. That is why it is called indescribable. We cannot describe, because all our language, everything is within the dual field. That non-dual truth cannot be, it can be hinted, but it cannot be expressed, because all our languages are within this. So there the difference is very much there, that we have to go to the transcendental level. And suppose we describe some mathematics which will express this transcendental truth, there is a great hurdle to express it. That is why it is called indescribable. That is that transcendental, it is not a thing. When I am saying the transcendental truth, we have a tendency to think that, oh, this is the transcendental. We will always think in terms of a concept before us. So our Shastras go on saying that neti neti. No. Any conceptive form, no, it is not that. Because it is not a concept, then concept means I am the knower of the concept and concept is an object. When we go beyond all that, then we become what we are. So there the whole scientific approach is not the transcendental approach. If they leave their objective approach and combine this, then they will become spiritual. They will no more remain usual scientists. But we don't know how much and how far in the, how much we can develop our language, or say modify our language to express such a truth, so that it can at least hint better than what we have been doing. But whatever our Shastras have done, whatever they have recorded the truth, it is absolutely impeccable for anybody who wants to do the experiment and get the first-hand discovery. He has to discover the truth which is recorded in the Upanishads. He has to do his experiment and know it first-hand. Then only he can say whether what the Upanishads are recording is true. I have confirmed it. I have done the experiment and found it is true. And because this experimentation and confirmation has been going on in every era by many practitioners, many pursuers, this is still remaining live in our society. Otherwise, so many thousands of years have passed, it would have got lost. Every era somebody is doing, some people are doing the experiment, they're confirming, they're trying to bring others also, to lead others, guide others, because normally you will not know which way to go. So it needs a teacher to guide you the path, along the path. Does it explain your point?
Yeah. So thank you so much, Swamiji, for pointing out the fact that how even science is losing its grossness. And one very powerful statement that you made is how everything, including our own body, mind, personality, is an appearance in our own consciousness.
In consciousness, not our own. That is the limitation is coming in.
Yeah, so how the body, mind, personality is a appearance in our consciousness.
Universal consciousness.
Yeah, in the universal consciousness.
One point here, that losing its grossness, it started from the end of 19th century itself. But as it proceeds further, the last point of losing grossness is that subject-object division also. It is the last hurdle of duality. All duality is gone, but still the subject-object duality will be there, that I want to know the self, I want to know the absolute. So the last point of grossness is coming from this duality going. That's a very, very subtle duality, subtle grossness, so to say. So that has yet to be lost.
Yes, Swamiji. So what would be your message to fellow scientists in their quest to the ultimate truth?
First of all, they are not, they are looking for the ultimate objective truth only, that generally, except some people, like some great scientists have been always saying that last word is spoken by the Upanishads. You must be knowing so many people like that, even including Einstein also. So many some of the greatest scientists have been always saying that the last word is in the Upanishads. So it's wrong to say that they did not have this view, but may not be in this way. They might not have thought. They have thought that this is the last word. But they are doing their research in their own manner. I have no advice towards them, because to incorporate the subject-object duality in some form of expression which is different, that I myself do not know whether it can be, whether it is at all possible or not, because the whole pursuit is different. One very serious difference is that when you have, say, in spirituality we say discrimination or viveka, when we know what is permanent and what is impermanent, that is only the consciousness or the soul or Atma or Brahman, all are same. Only that is what is beyond time-space. So calling permanent also is wrong, transcendental, but we can call it, that is the permanent. All other things are temporary, because anything that is created will change and will finally get destroyed. So all other things are undergoing change. So the only permanent, imperishable is the soul, or our Atma, or the consciousness. Now, knowing that, if we still run after, cling to the non-permanent things, then our spiritual shastras will say that we don't call viveka. You may be analyzing everything, you have known theoretically, but it has not become your own knowledge until you have the vairagya, or you have that. You should not hold on to anything. You should be free of possessiveness. You should be free of all kinds of clinging. Such a staunch condition is there, which makes all our researchers, our subjective scientists, a sannyasin. Because they have to leave everything they are holding on to. Leave means it becomes automatically, as their mind grows to the universal dimension, they don't look for the other things generally what people are looking into. So in the scientists, you will find very great scientists also. In their private life, in their personal life, they were not very even moral also sometimes. They had lot of other things. I know of many. But that means that scientific experimentation or theory, developing theory, it doesn't make it mandatory that you should grow spiritually. But I always have been saying that if you really incorporate the discoveries of physics, the learning of physics in your life, it will definitely make you a real vairagyan. That means vairagya should dawn. In my life, it has dawned. It has helped tremendously. I still remember our school was just over, and that was the time we got in hand our Feynman lectures in physics, 3 volumes, and where the quantum mechanics and quantum physics has been put in a very lucid manner. So passing out of the school, I used to sit in the lawn, and throughout the day I would read those and revel in that. My mind the whole personality used to get evaporated like sky, becoming sky-like. So I won't consider it to be only a spiritual experience. That experience I had from reading about science also. But I was applying it to my life, that if this is the reality, then how can I hold on to anything if this is the reality? So that was automatically working in mind. So scientists are not applying the whole discovery to their own life. In spirituality, I am the everything. And that the main purpose of whole spiritual sadhana is to shift that small, constricted, selfish, gain-oriented, fear-oriented personality to an universal, transcendental personality where it embraces the whole world. So that is the fundamental goal of spirituality, where it differs from it depends on the scientist what is their goal and all. Many of the scientists had become spiritual inquirers also, particularly in our country.
Yes, Swamiji, it's very interesting to know how you've brought in that element of vairagya, especially for a true scientist who really wants answers to the ultimate truth. If they are doing that kind of experimentation, it's very important for them to develop that kind of vairagya. I think it's a very important
in other
point.
way also, suppose ordinary scientists, or say those who are doing research, they even cling to their result. That is why they make mistakes. Suppose we are expecting my PhD I will like to have a good result which can be published and which will give me reputation. So they are not often able to see the truth, because their mind is already narrowed down by their gain, that I want this out of it. So unless their mind is free of all such clinging, they will not be able to know the truth properly. That is what we always say in spirituality also, that unless the raga means color actually. Viraga means removing all color, not having any color. We are always seeing the world as well as looking at ourselves, applying a color of me and mine, and also a color of likes and dislikes. This I like, this I do not like. I develop attraction towards what I like, I develop hatred towards what I do not like. So we don't ever see the world as it is. And the whole spirituality is to make us see the world as it is and see ourselves as we are. That is the goal of science also, in a way, that they want to see the world as it is.
Yes, Swamiji, that's a very interesting point that you made, that even as scientists, many people, they cling to the results as well. I think, I don't know how many of them even understand that or even realize it. So thank you so much for bringing that aspect out. So that brings me to another question. So what would be your message to especially the youngsters who would want to get into the field of science yet stay grounded on the principles of spirituality? Do you have any message for them?
Message for the youngsters, there is only one really important message which I always think, that they must develop enquiry, freed of all other inhibitions, all other aping other culture, etc. If they are free in their enquiry, let them inquire. The spirituality is best developed when it is taken at a very early age. That early exposure to spirituality is very important. We have been trying to expose our youth to this, because I always present in a rational, scientific manner. So I think that those who are thinking in a rational manner, it should touch them. Even at the class of 10, 11, I should be able to expose them to the truths of spirituality. But they never come. They, particularly seeing our dress and all, they would never come, because they have got some, backlog, that identifying with the dress, many things they think that these people are only worshipping God or so. This is very strange, because in our country, sannyasa, I don't know whether you know, before sannyasa, we have to do a homa which is called Viraja Homa. That means in that we burn, those who are having shikha, they burn their shikha, they burn their sacred thread even, which means it is a symbolic ritual, which means that they are no longer fit for doing any worship, any ritual. Worship is also a ritual. Because now he has to become absolutely free of all inhibitions, all constrictions, all concepts, everything. So sannyasa means knowledge. All sannyasin should, the real sannyasin should pursue knowledge. And the result of knowledge is vairagya only. Vairagya, people think that vairagya means leaving everything, we should go away. It is not vairagya. Vairagya means seeing the world as it is, knowing the world as well as ourselves as we are, which automatically makes us embrace the whole world. So he cannot remain in a family. That is different. But he doesn't send away the family or go away from the family because of some artificial dispassion, as we say. It is not so. So we have stopped using the word dispassion for vairagya. It's a impersonality, impartiality of vision which dawns in us. They should be exposed to spirituality and they should take to it as early as possible. You just inquire into it. As you inquire learning the other subjects, initially you can just inquire, think about it, and if it appeals to you, then you take to it. Not only that, it enhances the power of spiritual practices, even religious practices also. It enhances even the sensory perceptions also tremendously. So anything they do, they will be able to do better. Whatever they are studying, they will be able to learn very fast. Whatever they are doing, because of the clarity of vision, they will be the best decision makers. Will not any manager be coveting for this? That they want that impersonality and impartiality in their decision making process. It is because of our constricted clinging habits that we are not able to make it. We are egoistic about what I have said. I have said, so it has to be accepted. Actually, we should say whatever it is worth, and if it is to be accepted, people will accept. We should not attach any ego that I have said this, so it has to be accepted. So for youth also, if they practice this viveka, so to say, the vision, the impersonal vision, their life will be much better than what it is. They will be able to really enjoy their life. What they think to be enjoyment, they are not able to enjoy properly. They everything gets depleted, as Nachiketa told Yamaraja, that more and more of sensory indulgence, it depletes the power of our senses. It depletes the power of our viveka, power of our intelligence and mind. When the mind becomes sky-like, the intelligence becomes brilliant, then it is such a great joy to live in this world. Not like the other people, but to have the real joy there. So that should be the message for the youngsters. Why not they enjoy the life which is a real enjoyment, where they feel their mind to be hosting the whole universe. So what we have found is that, this is I am saying by the way, in ashram and all, we have found that whatever we may say about this knowledge and all, people are not fit for this knowledge. So what happens is that in spiritual pursuit also, unless we incorporate some service, physical service, it doesn't become successful. So for the youngsters, I would recommend that they should do some service without any gain orientation, without any ego. They should try to serve the whole world. Then their mind will expand. And they will find, now they are too self-centered, only their education, their career, and by that no purpose is served. They are not happy finally. If they develop their mind by expanding the mind, by serving people, working for them, they understand what all suffering is there. Otherwise they go on suffering for no suffering they have. Actually it is not a suffering condition, but they suffer. So all these things will undergo a change if a real spirit of service can be incorporated in the schools, and the teachers also learn it and they guide them to do the service with lot of impersonality and only looking at the welfare of the people. That should be that will expand their mind, which is the ultimate of spirituality. We always say that by doing puja, if your mind becomes more constricted, don't do puja. By doing meditation, you become more self-centered, don't meditate. Finally, what has to become? The small I has to become the all-embracing transcendental I. It's a process of expansion. So whatever expands our vision, our mind, is the path of spirituality that anybody can take to, anywhere, working anywhere in the world.
What I would like to understand more is those youngsters who would be more interested in pursuing science as a subject. What would be your message to them, and how do they really apply the principles of spirituality?
Those who, it all depends on what do they want. Now, if they are pursuing science, what for they are pursuing? Of course, now everybody goes for IT, so there is no demand for science anymore. Those who pursue science, they are liking science. Those who like science, I would say the same thing, as science has helped me to grow further in my expansion of the mind and not clinging to anything material, so to say. I was not attracted to anything in the world, whether it is good result, rank, or career, or salary. That right from young age I had not been, right from childhood I would say, I was not interested in anything, any gain or anything except this. So if they can, this is what scientific study also will be much more fruitful if they can do it. Anything they do, it's not only science. Whatever we pursue in life, if we have a greater aim, that it is for the welfare of the people that we are doing, and to gain established in knowledge, it will be definitely great in that.
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for that interesting set of thoughts and ideas. I think it was very interesting the way you presented your thoughts, and how even science is moving away from the grossness, and very soon I think science would also reach a point where the conclusion will be at the message of the Upanishads.
It is somewhat still there, but it cannot be, because until they incorporate the subject, which is the fundamental reality of it. The truth here is not the object. The object is only an appearance in the subject, in the consciousness. So when that becomes the fundamental truth, then only it can have a new exploration. Now in science also they regard consciousness as an offshoot of the body. But actually the consciousness is what. Even it can be explained very well that whatever we are experiencing, knowing in nature, can we know anything unless it appears in our consciousness? Can we? Only whatever appears, be it a dream, be it a external, be it even no signal state, that is unconsciousness also. The state of unconsciousness, we know that such and such time I had become unconscious. Getting back the consciousness, that consciousness we call is the awareness, limited awareness. So, there also, in everything is part of, is appearing in this consciousness.
Okay, thank you so much, Swamiji. Those sets of thoughts and ideas, I'm sure it'll be incredibly useful to the current scientists and also youngsters who are budding to be scientists.
I would like this message to be really seriously absorbed by all the youngsters, that they should know where lies happiness. We run after so many things, thinking that I will become happy, but the error lies there itself. Has anybody become happy in the world by gaining anything from the world? Why not we think about it, do vichara, and right from the beginning let us know where lies the real happiness. The real happiness, if anybody does service and all, he will come to know the real happiness lies in the expansion of the mind, in leaving than in grabbing. We think that in grabbing lies the happiness. That has to be set right. The happiness lies in leaving, is distributing, giving. So if that can be incorporated in any field, we will find that our country will, not only country, the whole world, will grow so well in every field. In industrial field, we will be conscious about the pollution, about the harm we are doing to the whole society. In business, we are doing so much of harm, whereas according to our Shastras, business means sharing. Sharing, it's the love element in nature. So the business is not looked down upon at all. Without business, nothing can happen. It is because of that only the whole society is surviving. So everywhere this service and love, service, impersonality, impartiality, these are values which have to be cultivated in the youngsters for their own benefit. They will go to any extent, they can shine very high with that, remaining universal and good. They will not become small, egoistic, constricted, rude, hurtful, all those things. There lies the final redemption of human life.
Okay, thank you so much, Swamiji. So that was indeed a very enlightening session with Nutan Swamiji. And the best thing about Nutan Swamiji is the way he brings both science and spirituality together. And some of these unique insights that Swamiji came up with, like how even today, I don't know whether the scientists are actually realizing that, but how science is actually losing its grossness, and at the end, it goes back to the message of our Upanishads, whatever is being revealed by the great sages and rishis of Bharat. Ultimately, a true scientist will reach there. So thank you so much, Swamiji, for bringing that thought out. And I'm sure, like Swamiji mentioned, what is important is how the youth should, the earlier the better, if they can get into this path of spirituality, and whether it's science or whether it's any other field, if they can stay grounded on these principles and know, like Swamiji mentioned, that the ultimate happiness lies within. There's no point running here and there, and the ultimate happiness lies within. I think that's where the message is.
When we realize this, we work out of joy, not for joy. That is, we think that at the end of something the joy will come. But when you understand that the happiness or joy does not lie outside at all, it is within, you start doing whatever to be done, and you do it so joyously, so fulfillingly, and wholesomely. You do anything to its excellent, that the performance will be at its height in that case. And you do with lot of joy, not expecting joy when the work is completed, this result will come, and then I will become happy. This is what whole Bhagavad Gita is. If our students, youth can understand that, then there will be a great change in their approach to life.
Yes, absolutely, Swamiji. And also one important point that Swamiji you brought out was how even the scientists should develop that vairagya towards their results. That is that is very core.
If they're real scientists, they should.
Yeah, so how, it's very interesting how Nutan Swamiji brought out the fact that even the scientists should at some point in time go away from or remove the clinging towards the results of their experiments, and maybe, the results of that would be wonderful. I think that is one of the key insights that just came out from this conversation.
It is interesting to know Einstein himself was very much against this modern development of quantum mechanics. So every day, because of his clinging to God not having the probabilistic way of running the world, and every day he used to come to the assembly with a new problem which will defeat quantum mechanics. And in the process it used to get more established, because they would prove that no, it is the other way, and Einstein used to get defeated every time, and by that he used to further reinforce the new development of quantum mechanics. It's very interesting. The whole stories are available in books and all. I don't remember all.
It's absolutely, Swamiji. And another key point that you brought out was how everything is an appearance in the consciousness. I think that's a very powerful statement, and if science is able to grab this message in the right way, I'm sure the world would definitely be a better and a wonderful place to live in. So thank you so much, Swamiji.
Okay.
And this is just the beginning of one of our podcast series related to science and spirituality. We'll definitely come up with more in the days to come. Jai Guru.